Conversations with Phil. Business advice without the BS. Just straight talk and frank conversations to help you grow your business by teaching you to get more leads, earn more referrals, and close more business.
Hey, so today I get to talk to my pal Donna Cutting. New book, 501 Ways to Roll Out the Red Carpet for Your Customers. Really spectacular book. I'm fortunate she asked me for some social media tips on how to do that. So those are in the book too. But buy the book in spite of that because it's great. Right? So Donna, I'm so honored that you took some time with me. How are you?
I am doing great, and it's an honor for me to take time with you. We're always both so busy. It's great to have a chance to sit here and catch up a little.
Yeah, for sure. So Donna, of course, heard that I was moving to Tampa, so she quickly ran away and moved to North Carolina. There's only room for one of us here in Tampa, I guess, and that's okay by me, though I'd love to see her more. But we met, 2009, when her first book came out, which was about rolling out the red carpet, creating red carpet customer experiences. And it was just such a delightful book because it's about how you can be more powerful for your customers and easy, I shouldn't say easy, simple stuff that so many of us, when we get the service, we're like, wow, this is awesome, and beautiful stories. And my favorite part of that is we actually got to spend some time together in Chicago talking about the book at SobCon. So take us back, Donna. How did that book where did that birth from?
Well, and I want to go back a little ways because, yes, that was around the time that my book came out, but I also found your blog. I think that's how you have this great blog, and you were just so positive and enthusiastic, and your energy is what attracted me. So that's how we met. And yes, that book was called is called The Celebrity Experience: Insider Secrets to Delivering Red Carpet Customer Service. And I've been speaking for many, many years about employee engagement, which goes hand in hand with customer service. And I had a conversation with a friend of mine who worked in senior living, and she was in marketing, and she was telling me all the things that she wanted to do for people as they toured her building. And I said to her, oh gosh, that sounds like you want to treat them like stars. And then that whole idea of customer service as star treatment kept me up at night. Literally, like I was so excited by that concept that I couldn't sleep. And that's when I knew it was finally time to write the book. So that was book number one.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I love that book too. And the new one is even better because it's full of, little tips and little things we can do. But let's talk about, employee engagement to customer service. I get that that's a connection, but talk us through that, Donna, because I don't think a lot of people see that, happy employees give us better customer service.
Well, and even in that first book, I spent a lot of time with the Gaylord Opryland at that time. Now they are actually part of Marriott. This was before they were part of Marriott. They were their own entity, Gaylord Entertainment. And, one of the things they shared with me is that, they were having a really hard time. And then the new general manager came in and realized that they had the wrong model, that they were focusing so much of their energy on the product, the building, and then their guests, which would be their customers, and then their employees were somewhere over there, right? And when they flipped that on its head and they put their employees first, now this doesn't mean, by the way, giving them everything they want, right? But it means giving them a structure and a support system so that they can then deliver great service to your customers. So it goes employees first, customers second, and then your product will take care of itself. And when they did that, everything turned around. They started making more money so they could put more money into their product, but it's when they started focusing on their employees and really engaging them. And if a lot of times, Phil, people will ask me, how do I get an hourly employee who has never received red carpet service in their life to give it? And the answer is you've got to model it for them. You have to show them what that looks like by the way you treat them, by the way you support them, the structure that you set up to support them, and by giving them a little red carpet treatment themselves.
Awesome. So I see that totally works. I remember I actually got to go to the Gaylord after I read your book, which
Oh,
is kind of fun. Yeah, and it was great. I actually, in 2000, I want to say 11, I actually met their IT help desk manager.
mm-hmm.
And so that really kind of made your book even more real for me, is I got to meet Pamela Winston. I'm not sure if she's still there, but
Yeah.
I remember meeting her, and they really live that. I mean, the whole experience, whether that was in IT or front of the house or housekeeping, the whole at your service thing, that really resonated with me. So how do we bring that to a smaller business, right? Because the Gaylord Entertainment and now Marriott, enormous. How do we make that smaller for maybe a small business owner who might be listening to this?
Yeah. So there's really three parts to your customer service. It doesn't matter how large or small your company is. You could be a solo entrepreneur and you still want to focus on these three things. So the first is the technical aspect of your business. So whatever your product or service is, you got to get that nailed. You have to deliver what people are expecting for the value, for the price that they're paying, on time, and really have those basics nailed, right? That's what people expect. But you don't win a lot of points for that. You just, people expect it, right? So you're not getting a lot of points. So then that's the what you deliver. Then it's the how. That's the warmth and hospitality side. And so whether you're a solo entrepreneur or you have a small business, you have to make sure that every single person on your team is delivering that excellence with warmth, with caring, that they have empathy, that they understand how to handle when things go wrong in a very gracious and caring manner. And so people, that's where you win points. People are, wow, not only do they have a great product and service, but the way they make me feel when they're delivering that product and service, I just keep wanting to go back again and again. And those are actually two of the parts that are mentioned in my book, but I've since added a third, which is that's when the wow factor comes in. So after you've got those two parts nailed, then you think about, okay, well, how can we surprise and delight people? And this doesn't have to cost a lot of money. I mean, you are a perfect example of this. Just picking up the phone and calling your customers on their birthday, right? Not to sell them anything, not for any reason, just to say happy birthday, or, pinging them on social media, or getting a picture that they will enjoy and sending it, or clipping an article that they are mentioned in and sending it along with a nice note. All those little surprise and delight moments. And if you've got those three things going on, you've really rolled out the red carpet.
Awesome. So let's talk about you, Donna. How did you get excited about this red carpet experience? I mean, did you get a lot of them growing up? I mean, did you go to school for, red carpet service? How did you get into this?
So the branding part, that whole branding of red carpet, there's a couple of reasons for that. One is, I'm an actress also. I went to school for theater. That's where my background is. So even from a wee little girl, I was putting talent shows on in my backyard, watching the Oscars, every single year, practicing in my hairbrush, the acceptance speech that I have yet to use, but it's practiced. It's practiced. And so I love that whole red carpet theme. Has just been a theme throughout my life. But one of my favorite memories is of my mom and my grandmother. It was my mother's mother-in-law, my dad's mom, when she and my Meme and Pepe went off to Rome to visit the Pope, right, to have to go to the Vatican. Not one-on-one, just, like people go. And there was a huge trip for them. So when they came home, a bunch of us gathered at their house, and we had a huge family. My Meme had 14 children, so you can imagine how huge it was then and even bigger now. But a bunch of us gathered at their house, and my mom found this little red carpet that was rolled up in a closet and just dusted it off, got it out, dusted it off, rolled it out on the sidewalk. And I just remember as a little girl just so excited about that, waiting for Meme and Pepe to come home, and they'd get out of the car, they'd walk home on the red carpet. And then I did it a couple of times after that for cousins who would come home from out of state. And that was just such a vivid memory for me. And that's, to me, that's really what it means. It's about making people feel significant, welcoming them into your business family, letting people know they're important, they're special. That's why we roll out the red carpet for you.
Yeah, I love that. That's so cool. I don't know that I knew that story. So I really love to hear that, because that's, rolling that out. I mean, it's so not difficult for folks, right? But why do you think people don't do that more, Donna? I mean, that seems like not maybe literally a red carpet, right? There's obviously an obstacle potentially there, but why do you think people don't roll that out for customers now?
Well, a couple of things I want to say about that. One is that I think there are people who do. And I think we like to focus on the ones that don't. And I always want to change that conversation because I think it's funny. It's funny, Phil, I put out a thing on social media recently where I asked people to tell me their worst customer service ever. And I don't normally go there. But I asked them because I thought, I'm going to come up with a funny comedy bit and this would be helpful. And it was the most commented on post I have ever had in my entire social media life. And so I kind of, as much as I appreciated everybody commenting, I was kind of getting bummed out reading them. And so I put out there, tell me about the best service you've ever delivered. And I got 3 comments. It was like night and day. And I think on some level, what you were leading towards is true. I think people, we feel like we don't have time. Maybe they're not quite understanding the reasoning behind customer service, the value, although I'm not sure how people can't anymore, because customers have louder voices and wider choices than they ever have before. So it definitely impacts your bottom line. I think people are frustrated because they don't know how to teach it, how to model it, maybe they're not hiring people who can deliver that level of service. On the other side of it, though, is I think that we tend to talk about the negative service experiences when there are positive service experiences. And if we talked about those more, I'd be curious to see if we saw more of it, So I would say, like, I found 501 of them. So I know they're out there.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And I totally agree. I think for me, the reasons that often I hear, like, social media services, the time factor, we don't know how, things like that. And really, it's as simple as just responding to people that talk to you. Listening is so powerful and yet so often overlooked. I think we often end up hiring people that maybe have a technical skill instead of people with a customer service attitude.
Right.
And I think that often holds us back.
Right. And then on the other side of that, too, is that sometimes you do have people who could have a customer service attitude, but you haven't defined, we do live in a world where it's different generations working with each other. We grew up in different ways with different influences. And so I think when you have a company who has Celebration Cinema is one of them. They're featured in 501 Ways to Roll Out the Red Carpet for Your Customers. And they have young people that are working for them, and yet their service is impeccable. Well, what they've done is they've defined, what it looks like, what it should look like. They have come up with really innovative ways to get their staff members looking for it out in the community, talking about customer service, and they support them with the training and that information that they need and the skills practice they need in order to be able to deliver it. And a lot of times I'll see, like, my clients will just say, well, we can't because they're young and they don't know how. And I'm just like, we're just writing off an entire generation. And there are already companies out there who have proven that that's not true. So
yeah, I agree. I don't think that, to use an overused word, right? I don't think it's millennials that don't get good customer service. I really think, to your point, it is about that skill reinforcement, because a lot of people, frankly, I don't know anybody who doesn't want red carpet customer service. I don't know anybody who walks into a place and says, boy, I hope these guys suck.
Yeah,
nobody does that. But yet, on the other hand, if they're ever given an opportunity to be a service provider, they choose not to step up. And yesterday was a perfect example of someone who chose to step up. I got in an Uber in New Jersey at 4:15 on Holy Thursday before like the whole city cleared out. It took me 90 minutes to get to the airport. I made it by 3 minutes because my Uber driver, he took every possible route he could to get me there faster, because as soon as he heard what my time was, I didn't ask him to, because I actually called my airline and said, can you put me on standby on the next plane? I don't want to stress. I'd rather be late than get in an accident. But he was very careful, but yet very intentional about the service he provided. So I know Uber, we don't have to tip, but I made sure that I gave him some extra money to thank him for what he did. And I didn't ask him to do that, right? This is unexpected service, because I was floored. I was like, wow, this guy was so remarkable. And he just chose it. Like, I didn't ask for it. I didn't. It was awesome.
And I don't know, so I haven't dipped into Uber yet, but I don't know, like, can you request him again?
I don't think so. That is the challenge, right? But the good thing, and I have to go back and do this because I ended up taking another Uber after that, so it cleared out and I didn't get him. But I need to make sure that I go back, and then I need to reinforce that as a customer and say, you know what, the guy that took me was awesome. He was fantastic, and he went above and beyond to make my day better. And I think that's the other thing. That's one of the other ways that we can make sure that we get better service, is we can give better service.
Exactly.
Just right at people, be nice to them. My goodness, all the time. And thank them, get that reinforcement going, because people love to feel good. And often the best way that they feel good is some recognition. Just simple stuff like using their name.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm sure you do this too when you're in the grocery store and they're just, it's just some person not looking up, just scanning your goods. If you actually say, thank you, Phil, Phil will look up, and even give you a half smile, all of a sudden you caught their attention. And then if they give you a great experience, take 2 extra minutes and tell their manager. Like that that's what we were talking about before. I think the more we look for the positive and reinforce it, the more we're going to see that.
Yeah. And the results are huge. I think one of the fun things that I see is the better customer service you give, the better the company does. Because people go back there, and no longer is it a price war. It actually gives us the opportunity to, if we have premium service, to provide a premium price.
Well, and studies have shown many different research has shown that people will actually pay more for a better service experience than not. And they're also more likely, people are more likely to talk about their bad service experiences. But if you really deliver a stellar experience, people will talk about that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the missing parts that sometimes companies get wrong is they don't make it easy to provide them with great service because they're worried about getting bad service.
Right.
So they don't, a comment card is not just, hey, tell us if we suck, but tell us how we did great, how we rocked your world. And that's such a missing opportunity. Make it easy for your customers to tell you they love you.
I love that too. How did we rock your world? I think that's fantastic. Yeah, absolutely. Give people a forum to do that. And Chris, quite frankly, we already have the forum, right? And so the more and this, I mean, this is part of what you wrote in the book too, is the more we get involved in that forum, the more a little bit more control we have, at least even if people are saying negative things, we can show that we're addressing it, that we're talking to them, that we're doing something about it, rather than just letting it, happen online and not getting involved in the process.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the best way that I've seen online to have a lynch mob is ignore a problem. And instead, I can tell you, every one of the customers that I consult with, if they jump into the conversation and they're really contrite when they screw up, because I'm going to tell you, I've not met a business yet that's been in business more than a couple years that has not made a mistake.
Right.
that somebody hasn't, blown up over something.
Mm-hmm.
If they jump in the conversation and they apologize, most of the time it immediately dies.
Yeah.
It's like putting baking soda on a grease fire. But
That's
if they don't, they think they can put it out with water by ignoring it, and it makes it worse.
Right.
Ends up setting the drapes on fire. Now the whole place burns down.
Right. And the other thing is getting back to, how you support your employees. Again, even if you have 2 employees or 200 or 2,000, it's arming them with the tools that they need to handle that when they're faced with someone who's upset. Because it is going to happen. And I don't like to think of customer service as only sort of putting out fires. We can be a little more proactive than that. But when those fires happen, does the person who's, at the counter know how to gracefully handle that? Because it may not always be the manager or the owner who is getting the brunt of that. So that goes back to just supporting your team so that they know how to give great service.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are some tips beyond, just training them? Like what are some specific things, Donna, that perhaps they can get training on that can help them be better?
Sure. Well, I always use the acronym Treat Your Customers Like Stars, STARS. Okay. So the first would be that sincere welcome. And so really you want to, and I've seen this work, right? I have seen when you get a group of people in a room who maybe aren't comfortable making eye contact, or they don't realize how important those little things like smiles, friendly, professional, friendly greetings, how important they are. But you get them in the room and you let them know how important it is, how important they are as the face of the company, and you get them practicing those skills. They will laugh, they'll joke, they'll think it's silly, and then they will walk out and do it right on the floor the next day. So I've seen that work. So those first impression things, sincerely welcome and sincere goodbyes too. You want to make sure that you make a great last impression, invite people back, say thank you, all of those things. Then you want to we call it take note and adjust. So this is a skill that really needs, I think all of us could use a little development in. And that's really getting to know who your customers are and being able to discern what their needs might be in any given moment. So a great example for you and me would be, I tell my team, if we're on the phone with someone trying to make a sales call, for instance, if that person is chatty and they sound glad to hear us, then yes, by all means, stay on the phone for as long as they want, right? And try and make that call. But if they are very abrupt, if they say, we can send you information, let's not push that. Let's be quick to the point, get them the information they need, and we'll follow up later. But that takes discernment. That takes really taking note of who that customer is and what they want. So then acting with urgency. So it's my job, right? It's not my job. That's number 3. And really taking responsibility from start to finish there. And by the way, if you're a supervisor or manager, you have to empower your team so that they can do that. Recover and respond and recover. So in other words, just what we were talking about, when they are faced with an upset customer, what are the skills? What's a little model that you can give them to use so that they more gracefully handle that? And then that surprise and delight. And how can you empower people to deliver on that wow factor? And so, for instance, Ruby Receptionist is a company that I use, and they are in the 501 ways to roll out the red carpet for your customers. And they have a little closet full of fun little things and wrapping paper and ribbons. That's how they've empowered their team to, at any given moment, they can just come up with an idea for something they want to send a customer and surprise and delight them. They've got to answer my phones well, they're friendly and hospitable, but then they add that surprise and delight, and I never want to leave them. I just keep giving them my money.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is definitely the icing on the cake, right? That's the exclamation point behind the great customer service experience that we're really craving and really need. So Donna, of course, I at least to me, of course, I think people want more of this. So obviously they can buy your book. they can, bring you in to speak or train. But where do they get a little smattering of that? Do you have a blog, or do you do like a video series, or anything that people can connect more with Donna Cutting?
Yeah, so and a lot of that is in progress. We're learning from you. I've got a little Phil named Brandy, but we learn from people like you all the time. I do have a blog, so I posted that about once a week, and you can go to redcarpetlearning.com/blog, and you will see it's called the Red Carpet Way. I also want to encourage people, if you go right to redcarpetlearning.com and you sign up on my website for the 21 days of thank you. It gives you 21 consecutive days of ways that you can say thank you to your staff members, okay? Mm-hmm. And when you sign that up, you will automatically be then subscribed to my weekly newsletter. It comes out on Wednesdays. That's also called the Red Carpet Way, and that's where I provide tips and tools and all kinds of free stuff that can help you do this.
Cool. So redcarpetlearning.com gets you all the good stuff. The book, 501 Ways to Roll Out the Red Carpet for Your Customers. Start with your employees. Remember what Donna said. Start by giving them the love and the red carpet experiences that you want them to deliver to your customers. Donna, it's been a delight. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. So fun to talk to you. So fun to spend time with you too. And thanks for having me.
Yeah, totally.